Welcome to Too Fond of Books. My name is Janelle, and this is a bonus recommendations video for March Mystery Madness. But before I get to all the books, which, let's admit it, that's what we're all here for, I need to show you the book that I found that fit the prompts from yesterday's M&M manuscript matchup game. So yesterday, we got the prompts to find a book about a male detective set in a small town. And that was just a tad trickier, but I thought of Hamish Macbeth from MC Beaton's series. This is a series about Detective Constable Hamish Macbeth, who is the village police officer in a small town in the Highlands of Scotland. And this is a great series. I love it. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It is 100% cozy. But I like it. I like the characters, I like the setting, and I like Hamish Macbeth. I just think he's such a great character. He's not overly ambitious. He does not look for promotion because promotion would take him out of his village, and he likes his life in that village. And so yeah, these are just good mysteries, because what's funny is he's not ambitious, but he is a really good detective. And so it's a good thing that he's around because his little village has an awful lot of murders. But anyway, this is the one that I found for small town male detective. Stay tuned to the end of this video when we will play another round of the M&M manuscript matchup game. Okay, so here are some bonus recommendations for the place prompt. And I hope you find something in here that is intriguing to you. So let's just get started. I have some Christie Commendations to kick us off. Passenger to Frankfurt was published in 1970. It is a standalone. In a bleak airport lounge, a bored diplomat believes a frightened girl's fantastic story. In a Whitehall office, worried politicians talk of terrorism and anarchy. In a German castle, an old woman plans a new world. So this is one of her kind of spy standalone ones. They Came to Baghdad is from 1951. A large number of persons, a large quantity of jewels, enormous sums of money have disappeared. Confirmation of the manufacture of a secret weapon has been obtained by a British agent. All the persons concerned were meeting in Baghdad, and the code was a white camel loaded with oats is coming over the pass. So this is another one of her spy thrillers. Peril at End House. This was from 1932, and it's the 8th Poirot. 3 near-fatal accidents in 3 days. As Miss Buckley told her of her narrow brush with death, the famous detective Hercule Poirot felt a thrill of fear. Were these accidents or attempted murder? And then finally, Murder at Hazelmoor, or the Sittaford Mystery. This was published in 1931, and this is another standalone. Turning the tables on murder. It was only a parlor game to while away a bitter winter evening. When the spirits rapped out the message that Captain Trevelyan was dead, it struck everyone as a bad joke. But when Major Burnaby found Trevelyan very dead on his study floor, it was a decidedly eerie coincidence. A coincidence that raised startling questions. Inspector Narracott wanted no help from the spirit world. He wanted answers. Answers that would explode in a scandal and point the finger at the man or woman who had committed a macabre murder. All right, I have a few historical mystery recommendations. This is The Thomas Street Horror by Raymond Paul. This was published in 1982. On April 10th, 1836, a lovely young prostitute named Helen Jewett was hacked to death in her own bed. Now Raymond Paul brings his considerable skills to both historian and mystery maven to recreate the Thomas Street Horror. So this is his story of what actually happened in this true crime. Set in the brothels and bar rooms, the newsrooms and courthouses of old New York, this wonderfully evocative novel features the devilishly clever, more than a little roguish criminal lawyer, Lon Quincannon. His investigation of this notorious case makes for a marvelously gripping tale of suspense. Murder in Pug's Parlour by Amy Myers. This was published in 1986 and it's the first in the series. The main character is the chef, Auguste Didier, and this is set in Victorian England. During a shooting party at Stockbury Towers, the steward, Greaves, is found dead, apparently poisoned whilst partaking of his habitual savoury and brandy alone in Pug's Parlour. The Bartholomew Fair Murders by Leonard Tourney. This was published in 1986 and it is the fourth Joan and Matthew Stock mystery set in Elizabethan England. Okay, so Matthew Stock is the county constable, a humble clothier by trade, and his practical-minded wife Joan, who oft must set things right. Elizabeth the Great will go to the fair, and a wondrous fair it is, drawing people from all over the land, among them the goodly couple, the Stocks, but their initial pleasure in the hurly-burly is tempered by the murder of a puppeteer on the road to the fairgrounds. An odd murder indeed, for the killer has left strange marks on the dead man's forehead. All right, and then I have three from the Mr. and Mrs. Darcy mystery series by Carrie Bebris. So these are the ones that I have that have the title in the name. The first in the series does not have a place in the name. So we have The Matters at Mansfield, or The Crawford Affair. This was published in 2008 and it is the fourth in the series. Each of these, she kind of sets at the town of the book, the Jane Austen book that's in the title. So in this one, Elizabeth and Fitzwilliam Darcy are looking forward to a quiet spell at Pemberley with their new daughter, but their hoped-for peace is short-lived. Darcy's overbearing aunt, Lady Catherine de Bourgh, is eager to arrange a lucrative and socially acceptable match for her daughter Anne. Needless to say, there is much turmoil when the young bride-to-be elopes. In pursuit of the headstrong young couple, Mr. and Mrs. Darcy speed to Mansfield Park, where the usually intricate game of marriage machinations becomes even more convoluted by codes of honor, rival lovers, and mistaken identity. This series is really fun. So then we also have The Intrigue at Highbury, or Emma's Match. This is the fifth in the series, published in 2010. And The Suspicion at Sanditon, or The Disappearance of Lady Denham. And this was from 2015. It's the seventh in the series. And I love that she included the story of Sanditon. That's an unfinished work of Jane Austen's, but it's a story that I really enjoy. And so I like that she included it in her series. Okay. And then sticking with Jane Austen, let's talk about Death Comes to Pemberley by P.D. James. This was published in 2011 and it is set in 1803. The Darcys have been married for 6 years. They have 2 sons, and on the eve of the annual autumn ball, a hysterical Lydia arrives screaming that Wickham has been murdered. All right, and then the last in this category is the Clerkenwell Tales by Peter Ackroyd. This was published in 2004. The scene is London in 1399. It is the last year of the 14th century, and there is talk of an apocalypse. Richard II is on the throne, yet strange signs and portents are troubling the latter part of his reign. By the side of the River Fleet in Clerkenwell, the people are restless, disenchanted with the church and their king. The streets of London are rife with rumor, heresy, espionage, murder, and at the center of the confusion is the nun, Sister Clarice, who has been vouchsafed visions of the future? Is she a genuine prophet or the tool of earthly powers? Okay, and then some classic crime, vintage, golden age. We have Station Wagon in Paris. No, sorry, Station Wagon in Spain by Francis Parkinson Keyes. This was published in 1959 and it is also called Letter from Spain. So we have a young college professor, Alan Lambert, who takes a sabbatical to go adventuring in response to a fraudulent Spanish prisoner letter. The Secret of High Eldersham by Miles Burton. This was published in 1930. They're terrible, mistrustful of strangers in these parts. Samuel Whitehead, landlord of the Rose and Crown, is a stranger in the lonely East Anglian village of High Eldersham. When the newcomer is stabbed to death in his pub and Scotland Yard is called to the scene, it seems that the veil dividing High Eldersham from the outside world is about to be lifted. Detective Inspector Young forms a theory about the case so utterly impossible that merely entertaining the suspicion makes him doubt his own sanity. Surrounded by sinister forces beyond his understanding and feeling the need of rational assistance, he calls on a brilliant amateur and living encyclopedia, Desmond Marion. Soon Marion falls for the charms of a young woman in the village, Mavis Overton. But does Mavis know more about the secrets of the village than she is willing to admit? The Middle Temple Murder by J.S. Fletcher. This was published in 1919. An unidentified elderly gentleman is found bludgeoned to death in London's Middle Temple, that enclave of justice between Fleet Street and the Thames. After due investigation, the police conclude that it was merely a case of robbery, but Frank Spargo, a young journalist who senses a scoop, and Inspector Rathbury of New Scotland Yard, who doesn't, soon unearth fresh clues and join forces to solve an intricate and intriguing mystery. And then we finally have Death at the Dolphin by Ngaio Marsh. This was published in 1966 and it's also called Killer Dolphin. It is the 24th Roderick Allen mystery. Peregrine J reopens the derelict Dolphin Theatre with a mysterious oil millionaire for a patron and a good luck charm beyond price, a glove that Shakespeare himself gave to his son. The thief waits 6 long months to steal it, and by then he is ready for murder. Okay, I have a few in the police procedural or private detective category. The Victoria Vanishes by Christopher Fowler. This was published in 2008 and it is the 6th in his Peculiar Crimes Unit series. I love this series so much. Murder doesn't get more peculiar than this. A lonely hearts killer is targeting middle-aged women at some of England's most well-known pubs. What's even more peculiar, Arthur Bryant happened to see the latest victim only moments before her death at a pub torn down 80 years ago. It's only the beginning of a case littered with clues that defy everything the veteran detectives know about the profiles of serial killers and the methodology of crime. What do the Knights Templar, the secret history of English pubs, and the discovery of an astounding religious relic have to do with this recent crime spree? More important, do the Peculiar Crimes Unit's 2 living legends have enough life left in them to stop a murderous conspiracy and a deadly Cupid targeting one of their own? Murder in the Caribbean by Robert Thorogood. This was published in 2018 and it's the 4th in his D.I. Richard Poole series. Robert Thorogood created the TV show Death in Paradise, and then he also has gone on to write a few mysteries set in the same place with D.I. Richard Poole, but they are different from the show. And so in this one, D.I. Richard Poole is hot, bothered, and fed up. He's stuck on the tropical island of Saint Marie, forced to live in a rickety old shack on a beach, and there isn't a decent cup of tea to be found anywhere. When a boat explodes in the harbor, Richard and his team soon realize that there's a new murderer on the loose. But who is it? And why did the killer leave behind a ruby at the scene of the crime? As the police dig deeper, they uncover secrets that go back decades and a crime from the past that can never be forgotten. Worse still, they soon realize that this is only the beginning. They've got to catch the killer before there's another death in paradise. Do you see what he did there? That was very clever. All right. The Hanged Man of Saint-Folin by Georges Simenon. This was published in 1931 and it is the fourth Inspector Maigret. It's also called The Crime of Inspector Maigret or Maigret and the 100 Gibbets. It was translated from the French by Linda Coverdale. A first ink drawing showed a hanged man swinging from a gallows on which perched an enormous crow. And there were at least 20 other etchings and pen or pencil sketches that had the same leitmotif of hanging. On the edge of a forest, a man hanging from every branch. A church steeple, beneath the weathercock, a human body dangling from each arm of the cross. It all started yesterday. Or did it begin years ago? All Maigret knows is that the shabby traveler he was following has committed suicide in a hotel room. As he delves further, a 10-year-old secret begins to emerge, one that some people will do anything to keep. And then Death and the Oxford Box by Veronica Stallwood. Now, you could read any of the books in this series for this prompt because they all have Oxford in the title. This is the first in the series. There are 14, and this was published in 1993. Dawn on a cold February morning, a mist hangs over Oxford, shrouding spires and domes. Feisty novelist Kate Ivory enjoys her early morning run with the mainly women's jogging group. It gets her away from the word processor, and besides, she hears all the local gossip on the hoof. This morning, as the group runs by the Isis, weevilish Rose tells how her husband Theo walked out on her, taking the valuable antique enamel mourning boxes given to her by her grandmother, who, horrors, is coming to visit. The group plans to nick the boxes back again. How could they guess that their amateurish raid would provide the cover for a far more sinister crime? Kate realizes that the police will soon be asking some very awkward questions, so hoping to stay one step ahead of the official investigation, she sets aside her writing to embark on a bit of sleuthing. And then, oh, that was actually for amateur sleuth category. Sorry, I got that mixed up, but she's an amateur sleuth. She's a writer. And then one in the spy category, this is The Salzburg Connection by Helen McInnes, published in 1968. The chest had been hidden in a lake high in the Austrian mountains. The secrets buried there were as deadly as an unexploded bomb. Men had been killed because of it, and sudden death stalked all who searched for it. Bill Matheson, a hard-headed young American, did not know that his routine business trip to Salzburg was to become a macabre journey through the dark and violent underworld of spies and murderers. Death waited for him in the shadows. So did love. Two beautiful women, and one of them would betray him. So there you have it. There are some more recommendations for you that fit the prompt of place. Have you read any of these books? I would love to chat with you about them in the comment section down below. All right, it is time for our next round in our, as Tiffany at the Beach Bum Bookworm said, magical and mind-blowing M&M manuscript matchup game. I love that she found more M words to go in the title. So I've got my bag of M&Ms. We will give it a shake. All right, and what is it going to be? Orange gives us detective. We've been getting a lot of orange. I wonder if one thing we're learning through this game is that certain colors, there's more of certain colors in a bag of M&Ms. Orange again. Now, that gives us a male detective. We've just had that, and we've also just had a lot of oranges. So I'm going to institute the no repeat rule and go again. Green gives us, oh, this is good. All right, so we need to find a book that has a detective duo in it. 2 detectives that are the primary characters in the book. A detective duo. Ooh, this is good. I'm glad I instituted the no repeat rule. Red gives us location. All right, so where in the world will our detective duo have to be from? Ooh, this is good. Blue. Oh, sweet. Blue gives us Asia. Okay, so we need to find a book that has a detective duo in it that is set in Asia. Now keep in mind, when I was creating the locations, I just went like continents to try and cover as much of the world as possible. So when I say Asia, I of course mean Africa, I mean China and Japan and all of those islands there, but that also means the Middle East and Russia. So it's that whole area there. So can we find a book that features a detective duo set in Asia? So remember, it covers a whole big area. Good luck to you. I can't wait to see the books that you find, and put them in the comment section down below, and I will see you for another video soon. Bye.